Before we begin, I would like to remind you of our housekeeping rules. Your active participation is vital, and today is going to be even more, since the audience is going to be the fifth panelist. But you can also, instead of holding your thoughts and questions until the end, share them with us immediately via the online system. And Adonis is going to interrupt me, I think, if something's coming, and we will try to weave them in. So, and as a courtesy to our speakers and fellow attendees, we kindly request that you silence your phones if you have not already done this. So our workforce is undeniably our greatest asset. I think we can all agree that we need to attract and retain skilled professionals, adapt to technological advancements, promote diversity and inclusion, and prioritize the welfare of our maritime professionals on board and ashore. Let's also acknowledge the significance of shaping a positive industry image. We need visible role models from the shipping industry who defy stereotypes and inspire the next generation. And it should not be only Captain Kate. Simultaneously, we find ourselves at the intersection of two transformative shifts: the sustainable shift and the digital shift. Our industry must take on greater responsibility in addressing global issues, whilst also embracing innovative digital technologies. This dual approach not only positions us as an attractive option for the next generation, but also enables us to redefine how we operate. So, how can we do better in maritime HR? Ship owners and HR departments play a crucial role in managing workforce transitions amidst the evolving sustainability and climate goals. Eurico, in light of this, I'd like to ask how ship owners and HR departments can effectively manage to navigate these transitions, and are there any best practices ECSA is recommending?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I have an old mic, so it's less digital than yours, but I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much for this question. I think it's a very important question, actually. We know that there is indeed a big transition towards sustainability, towards green technology, decarbonization of the sector. We know future alternative fuels are coming in place, hydrogen, ammonia, batteries, of course, biofuels. So this needs new skills, new education, new training, and we are very much conscious of that. We also see an increasing regulatory frameworks at EU level, of course, with the Fit for 55 package that came out last year, with the Fuel EU Maritime and the EU ETS. So there is new goals and targets that the shipping industry has to attain. So clearly, this also needs to be followed in parallel with an upskilling and reskilling of our workforce. We know at international level, we have the minimum standards, of course, of STCW. Those are being revised, reviewed and revised in London, but this will take some years, I would say. It's currently ongoing to be fit for purpose for the future, but clearly the advancements are very fast, and I see that we really need to be upskilling our workforce right now. So we at EU level we established this ECSA developed this project called SkillC. It's EU funded. It's a 4 million euros project, and the idea behind it's really to upskill the seafarers in order to cope with the twin transition, not only on the green side, but also on the digital side. Indeed, to understand what are the current gaps, what are the future needs, but also the mismatches between what educational providers are giving, but where the digital and green developments are actually asking for the maritime workforce to have. We also develop a toolbox for METs, or for maritime training institutes to align their courses in order to have a consistency and also to have a dialogue between them. So this was something that was not existing. And finally, also through the EU ETS, there is this earmarking that means that 25% of everything that shipping will contribute through the ETS on their emission. So this will go to an innovation fund. And this innovation funds, I think we can also take for these funds for training and for upskilling. And this has been acknowledged through the Implementing Act that will come in force very much soon. And so I think this is important.
Thank you. Speaking about collaboration, does ECSA support collaboration and knowledge sharing among the different stakeholders in order to facilitate the successful twin transition? Yes.
Yes, we do support it.
How?
It's how, I mean, at international level, I think this is very important, of course. There is this program called Just Transition that ICS, ITF, ILO, and IMO has put together in order to collaborate for a just transition to seafarers through the exchange of knowledge, best practices. We, at EU level, we also are trying to define, through this Skillsea project, we are trying to define a network of maritime training institutes for them to discuss and align their courses, and also to understand what are the current needs on terms of skills. And on a parallel work stream, we're also developing a new forum for all stakeholders, so ship managers, also stakeholders of union representatives, policymakers, for discussing also this need. We think also cross-sector collaboration is important, understand what other transport means actually are doing in terms of skills. We understand that our industry is very specific, though. I think we cannot go for a harmonization in terms of skills. Ultimately, we think one-size-fits-all proposal at EU level on skills cannot bridge the gap that exists, because we, in fact, are a global industry and we need a level playing field. But ultimately, it's good also to exchange best practices and also to acknowledge that maybe other sectors are fit for purpose already, others face some shortcomings, so it's good to exchange this.
Okay, so there is already a lot going on, and every stakeholder in the industry can find answers.
I think so, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. We heard a lot from Elias about AI-based technologies and their potential to transform our HR processes. Elia, with that in mind, could you please explore a little bit more for us the possible challenges or limitations when we are trying to implement AI-based technologies in HR processes?
Sure. It's actually a very interesting topic, because it is very important for an organization to be ready to accept the new technology. So with that in mind, once you're ready and you want to adapt, you need to have the right kind of data. If you don't have the data, or your data are of bad quality, then you will end up with, let's say, issues where you will have perhaps bias in your data. And we don't want that. We want the technology to make decisions based on good quality data with no discriminations, no anything. I believe those are the two main issues, and it's something that, at least in IBM, we are put on the top of our mind every time we start engaging with new customers and starting new projects. It's fine if, with the newer technology, it's fine if you don't have the data right away. There are what we call foundational models that can help you jumpstart. But in order to get the extra value out of it, we need to fine-tune those models with your data. So we can start, and once you're gathering the data, we can optimize the data and along the way.
Yeah, from your experience, do you think that sometimes traditional methods might be more useful? Or you say we are going that way and cannot be stopped, or we don't want to stop?
Well, again, sometimes if there is nothing in place, you need to start somewhere.
You find a solution, an AI solution.
Yeah, so going with a more traditional approach may be applicable, and then, evolve, just to gain the confidence. And again, adoption is very important.
There's no looking back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maria, the ideas and insights you have shared with us today in your presentation, they are very valuable for organizations looking to integrate them into their existing HR practices. Now, I'm very curious to learn where companies should start and how they can effectively integrate these ideas into their current HR practices.
Thank you. It's all about, first of all, the most important thing is to really listen. And when we're talking about really listening and understanding, it's all about listening as an organization to what our people are saying, for team leaders to be listening what their team members are saying, and also listening to what is the market saying. So understanding what is going on, what is important for them, it will help you to identify what are the things that are more targeted and more valuable for you, rather than trying to get different things in place and try to see what works or what might not work. The other thing that I truly believe in is to engage people in this process. So ask them, give them the choice. Sometimes throw them a challenge and see what ideas are coming. So you might go with an opportunity to say, how do we manage some of these paradoxes that I have been sharing? You don't have an answer, but let them play with it a little bit, understand it a bit more, come up with their own ideas. And once you do that, you might be pleasantly surprised in terms of what they are coming with their own ideas and their own solutions. But of course, it's not only about that. It's also about having clarity around what you want to achieve at an objective measure, strategic objectives, what direction you want to take. Because we all talk about innovation, we all talk about operational excellence, we all talk about diversity and inclusion. What does that mean? You need to break that down into more concrete and specific actions and objectives so that you can pace yourself into those objectives and see how you can progress year after year in these areas.
Yes, thank you very much. Our industry operates 24/7 around the clock, emphasizing well-being can be a challenge, we all know. Stella, I would like to hear your thoughts on how companies can place emphasis on well-being while operating 24/7.
Thank you so much, Rita, for the invite and for introducing such valuable discussion today. All subjects we've heard so far are actually the latest hot topics of our industry. I'm going to try and be as practical as possible and try to relate what has been discussed so far to our everyday environment. So us living from here to be able to try and apply a couple of things at least, because we're not falling behind. We're doing a lot of things as an industry, and we need to talk more about them. So yes, 24/7, a global environment that basically keeps the world moving, and this comes with a lot of demand from the people that work in this industry. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. So factor that in with the unprecedented times of the last 3 years, where well-being and wellness is at the forefront of all discussions and primary element on the agenda of organizations. So yes, wellness and well-being should be part of the commitment we have as organizations towards our employees. So I just want to give you a few ideas of how we have integrated practices into our everyday work environment to implement initiatives on wellness. First of all, we've established a wellness committee. This was not now, this was 15 years ago. But this wellness committee keeps evolving with the needs and the requirements of the current environment. So the wellness committee or organizations can have wellness officers. They don't have to be committees themselves. They focus on organizing awareness events around subjects evolving around wellness, physical, emotional, mental. So these committees just basically distribute, let's say, wellness newsletters in a digital format every month, sharing topics and creating...
Sorry to interrupt, Stella. This is for onboard and ashore.
Onboard and ashore, yes.
Yes.
I'll be sharing a lot of... I look after the shore-based HR, but a lot of the things we do, and this is what I will be talking to you about today, also are applied on board. We introduce wellness challenges like daily step challenges, and we support this as an organization by giving gifts like, let's say, fitness watches or water challenges. We have an in-house gym, okay? This is, a nice to have. We have corporate yoga classes at work. We offer confidential support to anyone who needs it. But what I'm saying is all these initiatives they're not necessarily costly. They just need time and people to be paying attention to them. The manager, then I'm moving on to the manager's role as a critical player in alleviating or adding stress, depending how well trained they are. So reviewing work demands and workload. This needs to be reviewed, assessed, and discussed with the manager, just so that employees feel that they can cope. So they can have a say. So investing in the employee-manager relationship is key. We talk about time off. Do we normalize that? We need to normalize that. We need to normalize extended time off and encourage time away from work. Employees feel comfortable having conversations about being able to take time, and we as employers and organizations should even try and go over and above the statutory. So let's say annual leave, maternity, paternity, but give more than that. It doesn't cost. For example, time off for personal emergencies, extended, looking after a family member, let's say, a sick family member. Or be generous by giving days off on birthdays, attending blood donations. Give a day off just to, say a thank you. People getting married, adopting kids, giving birth, give them time off. We also give time for fertility treatment. So make sure you're there to attend to the personal needs, or even early closings of the office on special occasions. We're not going to stop working. It's a 24/7, but these little things do matter. And of course, the hybrid working environments. Offer as much support as you can. For example, we have established monthly check-in meetings with HR, especially with the newcomers. So we feel that initial employment period is very critical to be close to them. And except these meetings with HR, we've also established the buddy scheme. The buddy scheme, which was actually an idea that came from one of our Gen Z members of staff, and we'll talk a bit about that later on. This is the go-to person assigned to a newcomer within the department to guide them through and ensure a seamless integration within the organization. Of course, prioritize diversity and inclusion, and we'll be touching upon that later on, and promote a collaborative work environment where people feel connected. Any opportunity, even inside or outside the organization, to bring people together. And of course, ask them. Ask your staff, what do they need? What kind of needs do they have that will make them psychologically feel better? Because at the end of the day, happy people, will have a direct impact on the day-to-day work environment. A few ideas.
Yes, I think a lot of food for thought for those who are looking for ideas in the audience. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes. Okay.
What are the best innovative digital technologies they have seen in their own or their competitors' operations?
Is for me or?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, although it was saying for all the panelists, but yes.
Okay. I believe the most innovative technologies is what we see today, based solely on generative AI And to speak, let's say, to make it more understandable, perhaps, you know, of ChatGPT, there was a big buzz at the beginning of the year. So we as IBM also have similar technology, but it's more vertical to companies, more or less. I discussed about it. I presented it during my presentation. So generative AI and anything has to do with foundational models and transformers is what is the most innovative technology from my point of view.
Good. The next one is for Maria. During one of the slides, it appeared that Gen Z employees care the least about where they work. Do you believe that companies after the new reality post-COVID can get away without implementing hybrid working environments?
So to understand, it's about how Gen Z is seeing work. I think we're not giving them enough credit. I think just because they're different doesn't mean, and they grew up in a different environment, and with different, in a different environment, doesn't mean that they don't care or they don't want to be included. I think it's important to understand them, to be able to work with them, and also allow them to bring all these concepts, because I'm so happy that younger people are saying, you know, don't call me after 7 o'clock, it's my day off. Or I'm very happy that they're prioritizing some of their family commitments, and they're very frank about it, that this is an important day for me, I want to take some time off. So I think it's more about understanding them, giving them something, allowing them to come up with their ideas, and give them that purpose and contribution that they deserve. And also, these are the people that will help us to implement new technologies, new ideas, and they will be at the forefront of the transformation and the changes that we want to implement.
There is the second one again for you, Maria. How well, and it's related to Gen Z again, how well do you think the industry is doing into attracting, retaining, and generally addressing the needs and expectations of Gen Z seafarers?
Can you?
Seafarers, okay. How well do you think the industry is doing into attracting, retaining, and generally addressing the needs and expectations of Gen Z seafarers?
I'm not sure I'm the most expert person to respond
Stella,
to that.
Maybe.
So
maybe Eurico?
So maybe if somebody from the audience.
Yeah. Eurico wants to take
Eurico.
it. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Maybe I can take this one because we have been very much involved in this, and I think it's twofold. For bringing the new generation, I think there is already a need for seafarers on board. I think there is a need to also showcase the opportunities that exists. And sometimes I don't think we understand how much career opportunities there is. It's not about only being a seafarer and working, as we know. There is a need to dispel also this outdated image of the industry. I think with digitalization, we'll bring new skills that probably young Gen Z has, and probably rely more on it and also identify with it. And so we think it's also bring about the visibility of the amount of careers possibilities for those young generation, but also in terms of diversity and gender balance. I think by having new digital tools, I think it can also work better in terms of work-life balance, for instance. And so I'm sure it will bring new opportunities for women to join. And we work very much hard also to have a safe environment and appropriate facilities for women, and also anti-harassment is very important, of course. And I think, this is just a few ideas, but there is a lot we've been doing on this.
Yes.
And so
Thank you, Eurico. We have some.
There is also another question here. Actually, it's both to Stella and from Interorient and Maria from PwC. You said, I think both in your presentation, in Stella, you said time off is important. And of course, time off is important. And Maria, you said flex time is important. And that actually creates a conflict if you have a team. And I would like to hear how you actually handle this. because you say there's flex time, but we have to be available 24/7, and there's time off. I mean, I think from the COVID times, actually, we all experienced, I experienced in my organization also, that, okay, everybody work as they want because they have to look after the kids in the daytime, so they work in the evening, and suddenly clients are sending you emails 10 o'clock evening, and you expect the service provider is answering this, yeah? But the flex time for the service provider is in the morning. How do you do this? It's interested here, do you have anything in PVC, how you handle flex time and being available and answering your clients and so on? How do you get this together?
So shall I start or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a firm believer that if you give people a framework and a choice, you can achieve more than trying to regulate and put rules in place. So it's all about the organization giving the license that time off is important, and believe me, it is. Unless you unwind, you will not be able to be back energized. You feel like your work is taking all of your life. You don't want your people to be feeling like that, so time off is precious. But then it's all about the leaders and the teams to be able to organize in a way that they can take off and not to be disturbed. They can be taking care of the different needs of the different people. So it's about giving I believe that if you give them a framework for flexibility or for how they organize their time off, they are committed to that. And it's also very much about them. It's not about what works in one team doesn't work with the next team. What works for a younger team doesn't work with a more mature team. So giving that framework and allowing them within guidelines of the organization to find their own solutions and to implement them.
Stella, what do you think about this?
I agree with Maria. Basically, we treat people as professionals. And if there's something we've learned from the pandemic is that people stepped up. That was our experience, at least, that during lockdowns, very few people were in the office, so they had to work from home, and everybody rose up to the challenge. So there are, as Maria said, there is a framework, there is a sort of a guideline on the company's flexible schemes and working arrangements, and people just work around that. There are also backup systems, so people can go off, take time off, and then there's somebody else looking after. And then, yes, there are the individuals that will never let go of their phone because they feel, they need to check in every now and then, and that's fine if it works for them. There are others that say, I really need to take time off, and we need to respect that. So organizations just need to have a clear guideline, but at the same time, we have to be very flexible in catering to the individual needs. Within, of course, reasonable parameters.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Did you give me warnings? 3 minutes warning? Five, but
five.
If I may, before closing, yes.
Conclusion, yeah?
Yes,
so,
not yet, because I would be a bad Vista Cyprus vice president if I wouldn't go on diversity and inclusion. Okay. And I would like just quickly to ask all my panelists how they are dealing with this matter in their offices.
Let me start by saying that there is a clear call of action. And it's not just about gender, it's not about culture, it's about building that inclusive behavior mindset in our people. So it is about having a clear pathway and priorities, what is important, and then starting small and building on success of those. So it took us 10 years of very focused energy to come where we are, and we know that we have a long way to go. We are celebrating our successes and we are measuring our successes, but at the same time we put the bar higher. So I think it needs a very clear plan of action and to make it a business imperative. It's not about being nice to women. It's not about being nice to foreigners. It's all about, how do we cultivate an environment that inclusion, innovation, and acceptance is being respected.
Thank you very much, Maria. Elias.
So, If I understand the questions about the well-being.
In your organization with the diversity and inclusion, do you have examples maybe how you...
Okay, about diversity, first of all, IBM is one of the first technological companies that have inclusion in their own strategy. They, for many, many years now, they endorse such actions. About well-being and, flexible time, I would say, as long as we're productive and the work gets done, then I will just quote my first manager in IBM 14 years ago that told me, I don't care if you do the work from the beach, as long as it's done, I'm fine with that.
Get the job done, yes. Thank you. Stella.
I'm proud to say that I'm part of an organization that considers diversity and inclusion an integral part of our commitment to be a responsible and human employer. And this is definitely not new for us. And this is also a characteristic of our industry, very diversified, and this goes back to the very beginning and to the very start of the industry. So specifically at Interorient, it is considered to be one of our competitive advantages, the diversity of our people. And we want to build and capitalize on that, and our success simply depends on how different we are. I'll give you an example, 20 different nationalities within the offices and on board. 50% of managerial positions are held by women, even on C-level. Women outnumber men within the offices. And we have recruitment as our biggest driver to hire for diversity. So it starts from there. Mm-hmm. We also look at, the a fair treatment and try to have a culture add in terms of instead of a culture fit. So we want to hire people that come in with different backgrounds, disciplines, nationalities, languages, anything. And we're very committed to keep enhancing and continuously improving our diversity and inclusion practices. It's important, and this again is a takeaway, educate. We have cultural awareness weeks. So we hold these events throughout the year that focus on educating on the differences. We celebrate the different religions, traditions of our employees, and we make a point about it. We give spaces for personal needs, for example, creating a prayer room or a pumping room for mothers who breastfeed. So again, it's ongoing, we keep improving, we're doing things now that obviously we were not doing 5 years ago, but it's a learning process. And the aim is always to keep getting better at it and finding the little things that make people feel comfortable, safe, included, and connected.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Eurico.
Thank you for the question, and thank you for going over time for such an important question for us. Dan, this is really something that we're very much keen to discuss and to bring awareness on inclusion and diversity. I think I just have to echo what everyone said, and particularly on measurable targets, I would say, for women representation in shipping. I think this is very important. We commissioned a report that came out last year, at the end of the year, on enhancing the participation of women in shipping. We brought, there was policy actions for EU regulators on soft law, how to bring this, to enhance this possibility. We see also that MLC is catching up. There is, I think last year, last year we had a revision to have protective equipment that is fitting for women on board. That's very, very inclusive, and we really appreciate that. We see STCW that are discussing anti-harassment now, and will be revised. And of course, we still have to fine-tune everything, but it's good that we're having this discussion. I think ultimately, as I was saying before, on the visibility of the shipping industry and the amount of career opportunities there is for women, I think this is also part of my task, is really to bring this awareness. We have created this career booklet of 200 pages of everything that you can do in the shipping industry. So there is not just a seafarer working on a deck, there is so much more. And finally, I think on another work stream we are working is on educational packages on leadership, and how we really think that it's through communication of leaders that this diversity and this inclusion and this safe environment for all is actually where the spotlight should be. And we developed this educational package through Skillsy project, where now Maritime Training Institutes will develop. And basically, the title of the course, one of the course, is Diversity Management and Inclusion. And so this is really where we think that the example should be really up in the hierarchy in order to communicate better and make a safe environment for all.
Yes. Thank you very much, Eurico. So I guess this concludes our first session for today. Thank you so much to my great panelists for your amazing inputs this morning, and thank you to the audience. I hope you enjoyed it, and in case of any questions, we will be around. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great to see you all here. There are so many other questions coming up on the app. So what I will do, I will pass them on to you, Jutta, and we will prepare a report after the conference so that all these questions will be answered, so that we can summarize the whole panel discussion with what everyone has said. Thank you very much. Let's have a quick coffee break, 15 minutes, so that we try to catch up now. And please, what is it now? Please try to come back 11:50. I mentioned before that we have the Charity Foundation, and the guy is sitting out, and see if you can contribute to that. Thank you very much. Hella, what do you do? It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's good. Wow, my God. No.